Hi, I'm Jeff from Whipbird Environmental, and today I'm just going to quickly show you a little bit about iNaturalist, a little bit of a brief overview of what iNaturalist is and how to utilize it. So this video is being made in the context of the flora and fauna of Otford project that I'm a part of, and the idea is to help people who want to be involved in that project be able to utilize this tool to help with gathering data on plants and animals within the Otford area. In saying that, this is just a general overview of the program and the website, and um, it can be used for anyone who's looking to get started with iNaturalist. So I'm going to skip the how to sign up stage. I don't think anyone really needs to see that. It's very straightforward. You can either sign up with your email address or you can sign in using something like Google. Now, what we're looking at here is the website. So this is the web-based version. So you can bring it up on your computer. This is what you're going to see. There is an application on the phone, which I use quite a lot as well. And they're pretty much the same thing. They talk to each other really well. There's just a few things you can't do on the phone that you can do on the computer. And it's a little bit easier for me to show you on the computer than trying to show it on my phone in a video like this. But the application is really handy if you are on like out and about. You can make an observation then and there. So if you see something you don't want to forget about it, you can take some nice photos and add that observation to the program straight away, and then that will come up and be available for people to view and interact with. So first of all, a little bit about what iNaturalist is. So iNaturalist is a organization that is all about gathering environmental data. So you can make observations of everything from fish to moss and and fungus and everything in between. So I primarily use it for flora. So I'm involved in natural areas restoration. That's what my business does. And I use it for not only making observations about flora, but also I utilize it within my projects to help inform things like revegetation, as well as track spread of weeds and things like that. So that's just one way to use it. There's heaps of different ways to use it. By adding your observations to this site, you're helping build a large database for people like myself, for people, researchers, both independent and institutions, as well as just the general public to come on and have a look at what things might be around the area, whether it's plants or animals. So it's a really cool site, and I think it's a really, really great asset. And I've used it for a number of things, including this project with the Otford flora and fauna. So, um, yeah, I think it's quite good. So now that we've sort of talked a little bit about what iNaturalist is, we're going to talk a little bit about how to actually utilize it. So once you've signed up, this is the home page. So there's lots of different things that you can do. You can upload things. You've got messages here. You've got notifications, which will come up if you click on it with different observations you're following or you've made, where people have interacted with those. So generally, what happens is you'll make an observation. Say you find a frog, and what you do is take a photo of it, then you try and get a nice clear photo to help with identification. Add your observation to the program either through the app or through the online, the web browser version, like the version we're looking at now. So you can make an observation at any level. You could put up an observation that just says this is a frog. You've taken a photo of a frog, and you have no idea what it is beyond the frog. It might even be a toad, and you're not quite sure. It doesn't really matter. You can put that up there, and then people that do know will come along and they'll see it and they'll say, "Oh, okay, I know what that is," or "I at least know a bit better than frog," and they'll add that little bit. And over time, more and more people add in their observations, or they help identify your observations and other people's observations, and then they'll become what's called research grade, which essentially means it's got the consensus that enough people agree that is what it is, and then that becomes a level which can be used in different projects. So, for instance, here you can actually see one of my observations I made back in 2019 down at Kosciuszko National Park, and it's just Stachyalzia vulvinaris, and it's research grade. And this here is actually just my dashboard, an update telling me that someone interacted with my observation and they've agreed with my identification here. So now this has become research grade because it has more than, I think it's more than two confirmed identifications of the same thing. So now that observation is able to be used for wide applications. So what we've got here is this, like I said, this is a home page. You've got a pretty standard layout here. You have your profile picture, your name. Mine's Whipbird Jeff because my business is Whipbird Environmental. My name's Jeff. That's why I call it that. Call whatever you want. And then, you got things like profile. You can look at all the observations you've made. You can edit your observations. You can look at a calendar, which I believe has different events in it that are run through iNaturalist. You're looking at different identifications that you've made, lists that you've made or follow. If you want, you can kind of keep a sort of like a blog on here through the journal function. I don't really utilize that function personally. You can favorite different things so you can follow them. And then you've got projects. So the main things we're going to look at today are observations, editing / adding observations and projects. The other stuff is not really super relevant to what we're talking about today. But this is what your homepage will look like. We'll have different things here. So these are really just updates on either your own observations or observations that you've contributed to. And then they keep you informed when more people contribute. So you can follow those along. And you can see different discussions and things like that. So you can see, you have it, so it's just your content, everything, things you're following, or discussions that are happening. There's a button here to add some observations. You can also do that up here with this green upload button. There's different things you can subscribe to certain locations and taxons, which is like different, you can subscribe to plants, for instance, a certain type of plant or a broader range. And when there's new updates to those areas, they'll come up in there. And other things like there's some guides and things of how to use different bits. And that's pretty much it. That's just your homepage. Up here in the top corner, you've got things like notifications. This is kind of an extension of this. They kind of both the same thing in a way. Messages in case you get messages. Then you've got different things like projects and things up here, community tab, and there's other different things here. You can just click on this explore button, which I'll just do that in a new tab. And you can see this will just take you to, so this is showing me the entirety of Australia and all the observations that have been made in it. You can then narrow that down by zooming in on the map, typing in a location or looking for a certain species, like you might be really interested in rock wallaby. So you type in rock wallaby, there you go, and then it'll come up with all the observations made, and you can go and see them on the map and everything like that. So you can see they're all over here, so observations over here. You can really play around with that and really look at some interesting things. The other thing is you can look at just your observations. So if I click on this, it'll bring up the map and it'll zoom in a bit because I haven't made that many observations around the place. I'm based in the Shellhaven and I work a lot in the Illawarra. These are from my trip down to Kosciuszko a couple of years ago. These are from when I used to do some work up in southwest Sydney. But you can see most of my observations are in this Illawarra, Shellhaven, Southern Highlands sort of area. And you can see them all listed out here. And some are research grade, some aren't, and they're from all over the place. The final thing that we'll quickly show you in this section is projects. So click on the projects tab, it shows you all the projects that you've joined. So this one here is from when I used to work for Lanka Illawarra. I helped run a BioBlitz up at Blue Lagoon in Bellambi. We've got this one here from when I used to work up in southwestern Sydney, and then different ones I'm a part of as well. Flora and Fauna of Otford, New South Wales is the project that I'm currently working on and the catalyst for making this video. So if I click on one of these, I'll just use this one as an example. What you'll do is you'll get this will come up. We've put in a bit of an about for here. So Community project gather data, gives a little bit of information about it. So how many members are here? It's only one member, and that's me. Not all projects require you to become a member of them in order to contribute to them. So, for instance, this project, I'm the only member, but there's 77 contributors in terms of people making observations, and over 208 people have been identifiers. And all up, there have been 339 observations of 205 species. None of these people have joined this project, but the way this project is set up is that any observations made within the project bounds, which is the Otford area, as you can see in this map here. So any observations made in here are automatically added to this project. And that allows not only myself, but other people working on this project or people that might not necessarily be working on this project, they're interested in this area. It allows them to come and see a spread of the species, about where things are occurring, track vegetation. They might be interested in a very specific thing, like they might be interested in kookaburras, and they're able to find all the kookaburra observations in Otford. This might be part of a bigger project or a personal thing that someone's working on, or just an interest. But essentially, you get some information on the project here, what's required for observations to enter this project. So any user can add to this project. I think that means that it'll draw from other projects as well that are in line with it. Quality grade, I made it so that it will include research grade observations, which, like I mentioned before, they're observations that have at least two, I think, yeah, two or more confirmed IDs. And I've also allowed observations that require an identification. The reason I've allowed them is that means that myself or someone else can go through all the ones that require identification and see if they can help identify them and boost up our research grade quality observations. So I'll allow any media type, any date range, pretty much. And yeah, that's and these are the different taxa that we allow. So I've allowed the entire animal kingdom, entire fungi kingdom, and the plant kingdom. Up here, you see some stats on who's been observing, you see some recent observations, and yeah, that's it. You can click on this button and it'll show you all the observations that have been made. I'm pretty sure they're listed from, I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to this. I thought that was supposed to be listed from date uploaded, but maybe not. You can see them in a list format. And I could click on this identify button and could go through and see if I can help identify any of these observations that have been made. So that's projects. This is the project that I'm working on, the reason I'm making this video. So what I'll do now is I'll just quickly run through how to make an observation. So before we do that, you can make an observation on your phone on the app. I find if you're just doing a single observation, that's a really handy way to do it. It's really quick. The app is able to draw metadata from the picture. So if you have your location services on when you take the photo, it'll actually bring the GPS coordinates up. Sometimes you might have to fix them up a little bit if you're in somewhere with low reception, but it's usually pretty good. When you do that, you can also obscure the exact location. So if, for instance, it's somewhere where you don't particularly want, maybe it's a private property and you don't want people to know the exact location, or it's a plant or animal that might be rare, or you're worried about poaching or something like that, you can obscure the observation, and then only certain people are able to gain access to the precise location under certain circumstances. I think they have to request that. Okay, so I've chosen this plant here from my observation. This is a Rhodemnia rubescens. I've actually already made an observation of this exact species on this plant. It's managed to find it. This doesn't always happen, but it's managed to actually identify this plant, which is really cool. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes you have to put one in. I'm going to pretend it's not that for the minute. It uses the metadata to fill out things. So it's been able to fill out the time and date that this photo was taken. And that can be important information. It's also put in the location using the GPS coordinates from the photo, because my location settings turned on when I took the photo. What you can then do is add a species name. So, for instance, I know this is Rhodemnia rubescens, but maybe I didn't know the species, or maybe I knew the genus, so I could put Regamnia in. Maybe I didn't even know that, but I just knew that it was a plant. And I could literally just put it in at the kingdom level. Like I know that's a plant. And then other people will come along and help add things. But for instance, for argument's sake, I'm just going to actually put in what it is. It's Rhododendron rubescens. It will give you, based off other observations that have been made on the site and got research grade, it will compare those photos and it will give you suggestions. Sometimes that can help with identifying, but it's a good thing to, if you can get it to the species level, do it. If you can't, just put it in the best you can and other people will come along. So once you've done that, you can make some notes. For instance, you could say, oh, I don't know, there was myrtle rust present on this specimen, or there was no myrtle rust present on this specimen, or whatever. Something that you can't really capture, I guess, in any other way. You can change the privacy settings so for the map. So I could make this location private. People could still find the observation, but they wouldn't know they wouldn't be able to find where that observation was made. And you could obscure it as well, which will just put kind of like a blurry circle, and it doesn't tell you exactly where it was made, but it gives you a rough idea. And there's different reasons why you want to do different versions of that. You can say whether it was captive or cultivated. So obviously for plants, and it's cultivated. If I knew this was a planted plant, I could say it was cultivated. You can add in tags, you can add it to a project, or you can add in different things here. So once you've done your observation and you've submitted it, it will come up and it will look something like this. On the computer, it's really handy because you can do a lot of observations in one go. You could do like 10 or 20 really quickly. But this is what you see when you make an observation. It gives you the location of where it was. I believe these little dots are other observations of the same species in the area. It tells you who made the observations. In this case, it's me, how many of the observations they've made. And then it shows you different things. So I put location approximate as my notes because I didn't have any metadata on this to know the exact location. I had to do it from memory, from the walk. So I knew it was on the Charlottes Pass summit trail, but but I couldn't give it exact pinpoint. So I got as close to where I knew it was as I could, and I just put in the notes. It's an approximate location. It's being confirmed. I added in here some attributes, so you can do these while it's like that. I could put in different things. You can put in the sex of the plant, if that's a thing. You can agree or disagree to people who have done this. So someone can come along and click that little thumbs up button and they can say, yep, it's definitely flowering, which obviously is in this picture. You can add it to projects and stuff in here as well. So that's how you use iNaturalist. They make observations. Like I said, it's a little bit different on the phone, but it's pretty much the same. It's a very user-friendly app. People could get the hang of it quite quickly. So for those of you who are here because of the Flora and Fauna of Otford project, I'll just quickly go over this again, that you don't actually have to join this project in order to contribute to it. We've got all these contributions from people who haven't joined the project. This project automatically takes your observations if they're within that geographical boundary and adds them to this project. And then we're able to use that information, and other people are also able to use that information. If you're here because of the Otford Flora and Fauna project, I hope you enjoy getting out there and making observations in your area, and you can really help us to build this a great picture of the area and what's happening up there. So thank you very much. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.